She collapsed right there in the kitchen. One moment, she was quietly stirring soup, softly humming that lullaby she always sang to our daughter. The next, her body dropped to the floor as if someone had cut invisible strings holding her up. The sound wasn't just loud, it was absolute. It shattered something inside me. By the time we reached the hospital, she was unconscious. Machines kept her breathing, wires snaked around her arms, and a tube ran down her throat. The steady, cold rhythm of life support filled the air louder than anything else. The doctor's words were gentle, vague, but it was a nurse, pale and anxious, who changed everything. She caught me in the hallway, her voice trembling, her eyes glimmering with something that looked like fear. "Please," she whispered, "bring your daughter now." I didn't ask questions. I just moved. I found Emma in the waiting room, small hands balled into fists, her fingers freezing cold when I touched them, as though all her warmth had stayed behind in that kitchen, along with everything else that once made sense. We walked together into the ICU. What I saw next didn't just steal my breath. It sucked every ounce of air from the room. There she was, my wife. Still, pale. A woman I had loved for over a decade, now connected to machines like she was nothing more than a patient. But she wasn't alone. Sitting beside her was a man, holding her hand like it belonged to him, softly whispering her name as if it were a prayer. When his eyes met mine, I recognized him immediately. Her coworker. The one she insisted was just a lunch. The same man whose hand I once shook at a holiday party. His gaze flicked to Emma. He asked softly, "Is this her daughter?" "No," I said, my voice steady and cold. "She's mine." People say betrayal creeps in slowly, like a shadow stretching inch by inch. But this was instant, like a lightning strike that split everything open at once. What happened after blurred together. Nurses murmured around me. Emma tugged at my sleeve, asking in her small voice if her mom was going to be okay. I stayed calm outwardly, but inside, something cracked wide open. 15 years. Shared routines. Morning coffees. Story times before bed. I was the dreamer. The planner. She was supposed to be the light in our lives. Or so I'd believed. I thought of whispered promises in the dark, our baby asleep between us, of her hands on my face as she swore she'd never lie. But the signs had always been there, hadn't they? Fleeting glances when I looked her way. Dinner conversations that ended too quickly. Laughter that died the moment I walked into a room. And then there was the note. A sweet, secret letter tucked into Emma's lunchbox just last month. She'd laughed it off, made a joke of it. But I knew. I said nothing at the time. That night, I sat alone in the garage, staring at the silver plaque on the toolbox she once gave me, engraved with "To my forever." Forever, I realized, had an expiration date. I stopped grieving. I started watching. I synced her cloud account. Installed silent, invisible tracking software. And then, I saw everything. Texts. Photos. Emails she thought she'd deleted. He called her Sunflower. She called him Always. That had once been our word. I tracked her movements. She wasn't going to yoga sessions. She was checking into room 409 at the Rosewood Hotel. And I documented it all. At first, I assumed she was preparing to leave me for him. Then her toxicology report came back. She hadn't collapsed from exhaustion. She was being poisoned. And I wasn't the one doing it. I dug deeper. His past unfolded like a horror story. Restraining orders. Girlfriends who died under mysterious circumstances. Accidental overdoses. He had a pattern, one hidden in plain sight. Slowly, methodically, he was eliminating her to get to my daughter. Whether she knew or was willfully blind didn't matter anymore. I had what I needed. I said nothing. I let the doctors run their tests. I played the role of the concerned husband while, behind the scenes, I secured every asset into a trust fund for Emma. Froze our joint accounts. Revised my will. Filed for full custody. And when she finally opened her eyes 3 days later, I was ready. Divorce papers prepared. A restraining order already set in motion. But I wanted one final move. One undeniable moment. I invited both of them to dinner, her favorite restaurant. Candles. Soft music. The place where we once celebrated anniversaries. She looked exhausted. He looked confident. Before the waiter even approached, I slid a folder across the table.
"You'll want to see this," I said.
Inside, photographs from the hotel. Screenshots of their messages. GPS data. His tax records. My petition for full custody. He froze. She turned ghostly pale. "You tried to replace me," I told her, my voice quiet and sharp. Then I looked at him. "And you tried to erase her. I know what you did. So, does the hospital. And tomorrow? The police will too." He fumbled for words, then vanished before dessert arrived. She stayed, crying silently into a napkin. The divorce was quick. I kept the house, the savings, full custody of Emma. She walked away with court debts and supervised visitations. As for him, he disappeared. Men like him always do when someone shines a light on their darkness. She writes me sometimes letters, apologies. I never open them. Emma's healing. She no longer asks about them. Or her. And me? I've learned something. Love without honesty is just a performance. And I'm done applauding. Betrayal was my greatest teacher. It taught me to be patient, to stay quiet, to time every move. I don't regret what I did. I only regret trusting without evidence. But I corrected that, with proof, with precision, and a final move so sharp, so undeniable. It ended everything. Checkmate.